This is the instructional how-to video for the Evelyn Max BBQ trailer. I'm going to go over the operations of your brand new concession. I'm going to step back and let you kind of see an overall view. And then I'll go into discussing the generator. So I'm not going to run the generator because I'm running on my shore power just for noise reasons. But I want to show how the generator operates. You're going to turn the pitcock, fuel pitcock up and down just as this indicates right here. Make sure you put clean, fresh fuel through here. Always check, sorry about that. Always check your oil level, pulling the dipstick. Needed to add any oil, B10, W30. Follow the instruction manual for proper maintenance and long-lasting life of your generator. So once you have done those three things, always leave this in the off position and you would plug your trailer into this plug here. Once plugged in, pull the choke button and go to start. Once the unit is running, slowly push the choke back in, allow generally 30 to 45 seconds, then you would flip the breaker on, feeding power in through your plug to your trailer. That's how you run the generator itself. Once you are finished for the end of the day, you do want to turn the breaker off itself and then turn that fuel pitcock back to the off position and allow that fuel to run out of the carburetor itself. Eventually it'll get to a point where it'll stop, and then make sure you flip that switch back to the off position so it does not run your battery down, and then you can unplug and make sure you put the cap back in place. So I've got city water connected here, bypassing the fresh tank and water pump. But if you want to run your freshwater tank and water pump, if you go to a place that does not provide you water and you fill up ahead of time, you would do so through this port, the non-pressure side. If you go to a place of business that allows you or provides you pressure water, you can hook up your food grade water hose into this port, bypassing the tank and pump. If you need to run any bleach or sanitizer, you could do so through this port as well. Concession window open while the exhaust fan is on. Now you crank jacks on each corner. You can use a 3/4 inch impact gun to help bring that jack down, be able to level the trailer out. Anything other than concrete, I would recommend a bigger block of wood to disperse the weight so that the jack foot does not sink into the ground or asphalt on a hot day. If you plan on using these, make sure that you take the time to put the precautionary blocks or rubber chalks around each wheel and tire so that the trailer cannot shift in any way once walking inside. If not properly done, these jacks will fail and break, and for that they will not be covered under any warranty whatsoever. And you got your access door here. So we're feeding a 100 amp panel, all 20 amp independent circuits. You see the power cord that comes out. I've got plugged into my shore power connection. I've got it inside due to possible rain that could happen today. Fuse panel for the 12 volt lighting system. Battery charger for the 12 volt battery, which is in this box here. Fresh water tank, mop sink, water heater. Before I ever plugged the water heater in, I made sure I had continuous water flow out of both sides of faucet, on each faucet, hot and cold water, continuous flow, so that there's no air bubbles. For the wastewater, remove the cap itself, hook up your 3-inch RV waste hose. Once that hose is hooked up, you can pull and release the contents from inside the waste tank. Make sure you dump this into an approved area based upon what is needed for your local health department. Once that is complete, you will be able to shut the valve, remove the hose, and put the cap back on in place before going into any transport. So I've got your exhaust fan on. As you can see, the light's on itself. I made sure I have all of these control knobs in the off position, starting with the fryer, the griddle, and the 4-burner. All of those in the off position. Exhaust fan on. As you can see, I've got this in the on position, but I have this one in the off position. This tank is off, no tank is needed, or not, both tanks are needed. So before I turn the gas on, I turn this valve on, turning the gas on through the hose to this valve here. The most important thing, regardless of what 2-stage regulator you're using, whether it's the driver's side as I'm using in this video or the passenger side, the most important thing you can do is pay attention to the 2-stage regulators. I say this because everything we know is in the off position at this moment. When I turn this gas valve on, I hear nothing more than the line charge. Nothing more than shh itself. If you have continuous gas flow coming through the regulator at time of startup, immediately shut this off and consult with a local gas or contact a local gas plumber to come out and inspect this piping that runs down below and hugs the frame of the trailer. The reason the piping would be leaking could be due to road debris that was possibly hit that you did not or was not aware of. Road debris can be tires off of a car or truck, rocks, block of wood. I've had customers hit potholes in just the right area and bust that piping. So it's very, very important. If you are going to find any leak at all, it's going to be on initial startup. It's going to be because gas is allowed coming through this and the customer not paying attention. So again, the most important thing you can do is pay attention. Nothing more than shh, and that's it. Regardless of what regulator you're using, at that point, you can go inside as long as you have no continuous gas flow. If we had continuous gas flow, we have a problem. Now for lighting your pallets, and you will see I have the pallets already lit. There's enough gas coming through for these open pallets. And this is still in the off position. So until you know that you have these actually lit, never turn these on. Now once they're lit, you can. Now for the oven, it's a little different. Again, it stays in the off position. But this itself is no lighter needed because you will push and hold here. While you push and hold here, you administer the grill lighter as you see here. And there's your pilot light. And as you see, I'm still holding this button in. So as long as I can release here, and your pallet stays lit, as you see, you at this point can close this lid. For demonstrational purposes, I will go ahead and turn that to 350. That way you can see your burner actually working. In the oven compartment is one rack, 5 different slots to be able to choose from. There is a drip pan also for cleaning any overspill from the top burners. We will go to the griddle right next to it. Always stays in the off position. Never force light any of this equipment. Force lighting meaning turning this on and lighting. Never do that. It's very dangerous, highly explosive. You'll put your lighter at the bottom of this slinky, or like right here, and you'll be able to see your pilot burning. Same thing on this side. As long as you have that flame below, right there next to the bottom of it, because propane's heavy, it's falling, so it will catch the flame. Once you can see and know that those are lit, then you have active control to turn your burners on. There is a drip pan that will slide into here. It's in their fridge behind me. You'll need to monitor that grease tray each day. We'll go ahead and slide over to the deep fryer. I'll show you the operation of the deep fryer and then I'll explain how I turned it on. So as you can see, the thermopile lit. This is in the on position. We have active control now. I'll turn this back off and explain how I lit it. So on initial startup, again, everything's in the off position. First thing you do is do this twice to make sure I turn it on and off, making sure I can hear the clicking noise to make sure this thermostat connects with this gas valve. It takes two hands to light a fryer, so you take them where the L meets the red dot. It allows you to push in, you push and hold, administer your fire to the thermopile. Once that thermopile is lit, continue to hold this button for 15 to 20 seconds. Once you can slowly release this button and keep your burner actively going for your thermopile, then you can rotate to the on position, and when needed or desired, turn the thermostat to the on position after your oil is in place. Always make sure that at the end of the day you turn this off, and as well as this itself. Also, in the paperwork in the fridge, you are going to find a drain tube with the paperwork for the fryer. Threads into here and allows you to open up and drain the vat. You can never transport oil in this fryer vat while driving down the road itself. I'm going to go ahead and turn the gas off itself since that part of the video is finished. And always at the end of each business day or travel time, turn this off as well as your tank itself. You know, and likewise, again, the biggest thing that I can ever stress is when you turn this valve on, after you know all that equipment's off and you have the hood on, initial startup, when you turn this on, and that's it. Whichever regulator it is, you hear continuous gas flow, immediately shut that off. Have somebody come out and inspect that piping. Never assume that it will go away. That would be the most dangerous thing you can do. So we have fire suppression set up in place as you see the nozzles over your equipment itself. And that does go to this control head and it goes to this tank here. This needs to be tagged by local fire suppression company and fire marshal when you get this set back up in place. Also, the other side of the why you need to run the hood system is behind the filters are heat sensor leaks. And if it was to get too hot up there, everything in that tank is going to come running out of these nozzles and not stop till the tank is completely empty. At that point, you'll have a big mess to clean up. It'll take about 2 weeks of being shut down and about $2,000 if not more. Very important. When the gas is on, the hood system needs to be on. Regardless of how cold or how hot it is outside, the hood system needs to be on. Also, these filters, as you see, are removable for cleaning purposes. It's not a bad idea to do it daily, if not daily, every other day, with hot water and mild soap or mild degreaser. Clean them, rinse them, let them thoroughly dry before going back into operation. When you do go back into operation, you want to keep the gaps as minimal as possible so that you do not have grease blow by into the upper fan housing, which need to be on a quarterly visit for cleaning purposes itself. Just a good rule of thumb. I'm going to show you these outlets here working. Driver's side Vinos. Alrighty, so we're 31 degrees here. Again, the fridge itself got the drip pan for the griddle, drip pan for the warming cabinet, paperwork for the fire suppression. Also the generator, the heating cabinet, the griddle, the fryer, and the stove. All's in the fridge itself. Take the time to read over each and every piece of paperwork. There's the drain tube for the fryer. Read over the paperwork for all of the equipment for proper maintenance and cleaning. See, it's at 171. Plenty high enough. Definitely, you'll find the certain temperature that suits you best for your heating cabinet itself. We'll go ahead and turn that off. This is not needed anymore, showing that it's 171. We're at -8 here. So again, continuous water flow before you ever plug the water heater in. .120 and still climbing. Plenty hot enough. Not enough to burn you. Water pump switch located here. Easily accessible underneath as well. Access to the lower V-nose for storage cleaning chemicals. Got your condiment pans for your sandwich prep. Well, okay. Somebody unplug this unit. Oh. I do apologize about that. Sorry. So it's going to take a while for that to cool down. Being at 82 degrees right this second, but I'll go ahead and get it cooling down in the process. Be able to send a picture showing it working here shortly. AC unit, as long as you have the power at all times, run it as needed. When the hood system's on, you're not going to feel it. I will tell you that. It's mostly for prep and cleanup. prep and cleanup, you're going to have the window closed or the window glass inserts closed to control this environment here. The roof vent itself, definitely open it up as needed, but make sure that you fully close it before going into transport, as crosswinds can damage the top. It'll rip it off pretty much. I'm going to go ahead and turn the AC unit off itself, as it's no longer needed. And on shutdown procedure, the best thing is to always make sure, again, all your gas equipment's off. You're going to drain the vat for the oil in here. There is approved containers available for hot grease. Definitely want to make sure that you clean out, check the drip tray itself. Make sure this drip tray is pulled, put in a safe place for transit as well. You will see we have metal baling wire holding these burners in place. It does not need to be removed. It will need to be replaced once it breaks. Eventually, due to excessive heat, it's going to break the wire. It never fails. Just make sure you put more wire on it. Take a pair of pliers, twist it together, cut it and push it over so that you don't have to worry about them burners shifting in transit. As far as turning off the refrigeration, it is not needed. You can unplug it if you choose, at least for the under-counter freezer and the sandwich prep. The fridge itself, you can't get access to behind it. Although you can turn the switch off if you choose to do so. Exterior lights and then your interior lights need to be off before transit. And any loose items that would be laying around, you want to make sure that you put those in a proper area for transit as well. Again, make sure that the roof vent is closed also. And most importantly is making sure that gas is in the off position. Pushing your step back up under the trailer itself. And again, if you have the crank jacks down, make sure that you pull them to an upright position safely. For your flip-up counter, you can use the middle screw as a guide point. Pressing upward allows it to fold back to the downward position. Same thing in reverse. Pressing upward allows it to be at a fixed position. What you will notice is these, every time you press up past the 90-degree point, once you press up, it allows that pin to roll around again on both sides. So this one's on the inside and this one is on the outside. So again, you see me pressing upward, that allows that pin to allow it to roll over again. Same thing with your door. Make sure that's shut, locked, and latched. If you want to put a lock in there, it's fine. If you want to put a pin, it's fine. Just make sure something is in at least one of those sides for transportation. As always, make sure that you have all of your running lights working, your brake lights and turn signals always functioning. Once a year, you will need to remove the grease cap that is on each wheel to apply grease to the Zerk fitting behind. If you do not have a grease gun, you can take it to a local trailer shop and have them do it. But it needs to be done once a year. If you want to do it twice a year, you can do so. Always make sure that lug nuts are tight. All it takes is one lug nut to loosen, and before you know it, all of them loosen. So before you ever go in transit, always make sure lug nuts are tight on your trailer, on every wheel. Always make sure you have adequate air pressure in each tire as well. You would want to make sure that you disconnect any power cords, any water hoses and drain hoses, making sure that everything is down to a ready for mobile transit. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to view this video. Make these videos to help educate the customer on how things operate safely. Obviously, shutdown procedures as well. If you do have any questions, comments, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Look for any advice or any questions that we can help with. We thank you so much for your business and wish you the very best.